welcome to this edition of Reporters on France24, the weekly magazine featuring in-depth stories from correspondents around the world. I'm Andrea Sankey. This week, Arab Muslims in South America's tri-border region. Now, intelligence agents around the world, but particularly the CIA, have been keeping a close eye on these communities, suspicious that some are funding terrorist groups in the Middle East. Now, it might seem odd that such a remote corner of the world would be a target of CIA investigations, but it's no secret that figures from the Lebanese Islamist group Hezbollah make regular visits to Muslim communities in the area. But while the United States labels Hezbollah a terrorist organization, Brazil does not. Arab residents living in border towns between Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina say they're being unfairly targeted by the United States. For decades, they've been living in harmony within their diverse South American communities, well integrated while still able to maintain close ties to their Arab roots. Here's a look now at life for Muslims in the tri-border region and how the war on terror has affected this far corner of the world.
Chinese, Lebanese, German and Indian people all call this place home, and yet we're in the heart of Latin America. People from more than 60 countries live here on the border between Brazil, Argentina and
Hello and welcome to this edition of Reporters on France24, the weekly magazine featuring in-depth stories from correspondents around the world. I'm Andrea Sankey. This week, Arab Muslims in South America's tri-border region. Intelligence agents around the world, but particularly the CIA, have been keeping a close eye on these communities, suspicious that some are funding terrorist groups in the Middle East. Now, it might seem odd that such a remote corner of the world would be a target of CIA investigations, but it's no secret that figures from the Lebanese Islamist group Hezbollah make regular visits to Muslim communities in the area. But while the United States labels Hezbollah a terrorist organization, Brazil does not. And Arab residents living in border towns between Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina say they're being unfairly targeted by the United States. For decades, they've been living in harmony within their diverse South American communities, well integrated while still able to maintain close ties to their Arab roots. Here's a look now at life for Muslims in the tri-border region and how the war on terror has affected this far corner of the world.
Chinese, Lebanese, German and Indian people all call this place home, and yet we're in the heart of Latin America. People from more than 60 countries live here on the border between Brazil, Argentina and Paraguay, an area commonly referred to as the tri-border region. Ibrahim Barakat moved from the south of Lebanon to settle here in the 1950s. He brought his whole family with him, and many others from his hometown came too. In keeping with tradition, many Lebanese immigrants became merchants and shop owners. They soon dominated trade in the region. The heads of the community still meet every Sunday to talk about the old country over a typical Lebanese lunch.
Brazil, Paraguay and Argentina welcomed us with open arms. They offered us all that we could ever need, never rejecting anyone. We are completely integrated. We have full rights, but we also know our obligations.
Immigration from Lebanon accelerated during the civil war years of the 1980s.
Truly, all of Lebanon is here. There are 8 million Lebanese descendants in Brazil. A lot of Lebanese politicians come here. Here is the Lebanese political Mecca.
Like many in the community, Barakat and his friends send money to relations back home in Lebanon. These transfers have come to the attention of intelligence agencies.
They don't need our assistance. On the contrary, we are the ones who need help.
The US government suspects some of the money being sent to Lebanon is being used to finance terrorism. According to the mayor of Foz do Iguaçu, the city on the Brazilian side of the border, Washington's concerns about the transfers have been increasing.
After the 11th of September, the Americans found it hard to accept that they had been subject to such a violent attack. It was really difficult for them. They then started to look for culprits around the whole world. They went to Afghanistan, to Iraq, and they also came here.
The tri-border region is notorious for smuggling. Paraguay charges no import tax on alcohol, cigarettes, or electronic goods. Traffickers also try to smuggle the goods across the border to Brazil via the bridge at Ciudad del Este, the major Paraguayan city in the tri-border region. Smuggling is a multi-million-dollar business here. It also acts as a cover for the trade in guns and drugs. There are rumors that Osama bin Laden was considering setting up a training camp in the region. 1 month after the 9/11 attacks, Paraguayan police detained 16 people at the request of US authorities. All were eventually released due to lack of evidence, but had to spend months in prison.
I'm an Arab, but my children are Paraguayan. They're accused of being the sons of terrorists. We had to go to the schools and explain ourselves. That's not acceptable.
Anger in the Arab community can be felt on all sides of the border. Both Muslim and non-Muslim Arabs have lived quietly in the region for years. At the Foz do Iguaçu Mosque, 100 worshippers answer the call to prayer every Friday and listen to the teachings of the Imam. Services are given first in Arabic, then in Portuguese for the younger generation. It's common to see journalists at the door of the mosque seeking comment on terrorist incidents. The Imam admits that some in the community are involved in illegal activities, but says many of the claims are dubious.
I don't mean the activities of people who work with drugs or who bring merchandises from Paraguay illegally. I'm talking about Islamic terrorism. Did they register any kind of that in this area, or in Brazil in general, or in Paraguay?
Those who worship at the mosque are tired of being looked on with suspicion.
We still have friendships and blood ties with people living over there. But above all, we are Brazilians.
The Imam has some advice for the Bush administration.
They should rearrange their intelligence system.
The main reason why the CIA are interested in the tri-border region is because the Lebanese Islamist organization Hezbollah has built strong ties in the community. Hezbollah figures regularly visit Ciudad del Este or Foz do Iguaçu. This evening, the former Lebanese Labour Minister Trad Hamadeh is meeting the Lebanese community. To begin with, everyone sings the Brazilian national anthem, then the Lebanese. As in Hezbollah meetings in Beirut, men and women are strictly segregated. This is the first time Hamada has visited Foz do Iguaçu and says he's amazed by the strength of the Arab community.
They are as interested in Lebanese politics as anybody in Beirut or Baalbek.
Unlike the US, Brazil does not consider Hezbollah a terrorist organization. But the Brazilian government has agreed to exchange information with Argentina, Paraguay and the US on possible radical activity in the tri-border region. Alessandro Carvalho is the federal police chief in Foz do Iguaçu. He says Brazil wants to cooperate on terrorism, but won't be pushed around.
The federal police is an organization that works well, and after all, the FBI and the CIA were the ones that were cut out.
Years of investigation have brought little in the way of concrete results.
There is no evidence to suggest there is a terrorist base in this country or that attacks abroad are organized from here.
Many people in the tri-border region say they think the US allegations are an excuse to maintain a presence in the region. The Syrian consul believes natural resources may also play a part.
A lot of countries would like to have a presence here. In the Middle East, the US dominates oil supplies. They would like to control water resources too. After all, water will gradually become more important than oil.
Others even believe that commercial interests might be the cause. Mohamed Said Mana arrived in Ciudad del Este 30 years ago and has become one of the biggest merchants in the city. His store, Petziquera, sells electronic equipment, perfume, champagne and other goods imported from around the world, but rarely from the US.
We used to buy cups made in the US, American cars, or maybe American models of German cars. Thermos flasks and a lot of food were imported from the US. All that is over now. But that isn't the fault of the Arabs who live here. It's because of the US's incompetence in dealing with the Chinese.
Ironically, Mana believes the US allegations could end up helping the tri-border region.
This negative publicity about Ciudad del Este and the area in general has generated interests from the international press. Before this, many didn't even know of Paraguay. In the long run, when things return to normal, this region will become a paradise. I think Ciudad del Este could become the next Monaco.
At a time when Latin America has lurched strongly to the left and distanced itself from the United States, the tri-border region has become one of the continent's most strategically important areas.
And that is all for this edition of Reporters on France24. Remember, if you'd like more information on this program and others on our channel, you can always log on to our website. That's at France24.com. Click on special reports if you'd like more on the Reporters program. Until next week, then, I'm Andrea Sankey. Thank you for joining us.